Hi everybody, this is Mairi Moibeal with Mairi Moibeal Healing Services. Today we're going to do the Cosmic Update for the end of November 2020. You can find the beginning of November Cosmic Update on any of my platforms at mmhealingservices or at the Autistic Astrologer on Facebook and on YouTube. So for the end of November, we are really getting a feeling that we're coming, like we're still stuck. We're not seeing a lot of action, but we're feeling the energy moving faster. So it's almost like we can look back and be like, where did the day go? And then also not really see a lot of things that got done. So we're still in that shift of retrogrades are still kind of holding us back, and we haven't gotten into Sagittarius season yet. So at that point, things will start to take off, which does happen at the end of November. So we're still a bit stuck, but we're feeling things and the energy start to move forward and progress even more. The big hits for the end of November, Mercury moves out of its shadow, which is good. Venus moves into Scorpio. The Sun moves into Sagittarius. Venus will oppose Uranus, and then Neptune stations direct, leading into a full moon in Gemini. It's an eclipse. It begins the eclipse portal that takes us through the end of the year. So this is the last day of November and kind of shoots us into this last month of 2020, where we see the Capricorn Council disperse into Aquarius. This will be a huge shift in the middle of the month with a lunar moon event as well, so which is an eclipse, and then that all will we're really going to see a big shift happen mid-December, moving into the solstice and the deep holiday season. So we know with Sagittarius season, it moves us into the holiday season. There's going to be a lot of energy circling around the day of the United States Thanksgiving Day, which is the 26th. 26th. So we're going to break all of that stuff down, how it's going to play out in people's charts. And if you're interested in specific parts and you don't have time or don't want to watch the entire video, make sure you check in the description, and it will have the timestamps for you to zoom through, find the things that are relevant for you. There will be separate cosmic updates on Sun moving into Sagittarius, and for the full moon in Gemini at the end of this month. So be sure to subscribe to my page or follow me on any of my platforms to get the most up-to-date cosmic updates as we move through. Okay, so we're gonna start with like the 18th, 19th, 20th of this month moving through. So what's happening around the 19th and the 20th is the Sun is forming a sextile to the Capricorn Council. A sextile is a good feeling amongst two energies. And so this is going to be a potential to have a very grounding energy, forming a solid foundation. So we have been playing around with the Capricorn Council. They have torn us down throughout the last couple of years, specifically through this year. And now we're moving into this last portion of November with strong water and earth energy. When we have water and earth together, it can really form a nice, grounding, emotional but controlled setting. And we've been learning about responsibilities. So that's what it's building a foundation for, this Sun sextile to the Capricorn Council. Very stabilizing, and a place for us to handle our responsibilities that we may have been pushing to the side or not aware of. We have a different foundation for that now. And so we're going to start to feel that shift play out through the end of November, but it really starts on the 19th with the Sun sextile to Saturn. So when we move into like the 20th, 21st, Mercury finally comes out of the shadow phase, retro shade. And what that means is we're finally out of that. So with Mercury, and we're not talking about in real life, but we're talking about how it looks from Earth and plays into our energy. So we have Mercury here, it's going direct, it stations here to move backwards. retrograde. When it stations direct again, all of this is the shadow that we just moved back through. We had to come back through what we had already done once before. Now we're out of that. So we're into new territory, and we're really ready to embody the things that we have learned that Mercury has taught us over that Mercury retrograde. And depending on what that is for you, and it's going to be based on where these things fall in your chart. So remember, this is always a collective reading, and how it affects your chart is based on your specific natal chart. So if you have any questions on it, you want any sessions or any readings, please reach out to me on the Autistic Astrologer or at mmhealingservices. You can book directly on my Facebook or message me on any of my platforms. But when we talk about moving into new territory with Mercury, we're talking about new conversations that we didn't think we could have before, new insight to have conversations or to get things done or to communicate things in new ways that we didn't have the tools to do before, or we didn't have the, whatever that is, we didn't have it before. And now we do. And so we move into this new territory with these new tools that we've learned over the last couple months with Mercury. The thing here is the moon is in Aquarius at the same time, and the moon is uncomfortable in Aquarius. Aquarius has emotions, don't get me wrong, but they're distant emotions. They care a lot about humanity as a whole. They care a lot about themselves, but they don't really get in touch with it in the lower vibrations of things, right? So there's a potential for conflict, tension, because with moon in Aquarius, we can be cold or distant or short or direct. And it's not a negative thing. It's just the way that people perceive being direct sometimes. And so it's quick to have frustrating, like blow up arguments, just, tension around, people's ideas. Could be internal conflict around your ideas and your feelings not matching up. So there is that potential here because we do have the moon in Aquarius squaring Mercury as Mercury comes out of its shadow into this new territory. So uncomfortable with the newness, uncomfortable with the distance and the different conversations that may come up. So just being aware of that as we move out of that week, the 19th, 20th, 21st, and then we move into, the next portion, because Sun also moves into Sagittarius on that next day, the 21st. So 21st is going to be a big shift because we have Venus moving into Scorpio and we have the Sun moving into Sagittarius. This is Saturday, the 24th. So Venus in Scorpio, Venus was in Libra, and Venus loves being in Libra. They are both very, Venus is very comfortable, very at home in Libra. And so when she moves into Scorpio, it's a much darker space. And so although Venus is known for beauty, Scorpio is often known for loving the things that aren't seen as beautiful. So Venus has the opportunity here to transform what we think beauty is, to allow things to go when we still feel that they have value, but they really don't, right? So Venus in Scorpio has a tendency to hold on to things that they think have value, but really it's just holding us back from moving forward. And Scorpio urges Venus to release those things where the cycles are done. Scorpio urges Venus to embrace the things that may be seen as negative or dark or, Scorpio season shit, right? And so when Venus moves into Scorpio, there is definitely a shift because Venus is in her detriment, meaning she's not comfortable here, right? It's not pretty, right? But Venus has the opportunity to transform what pretty is and what we see as pretty, what we value, enjoying things that we normally wouldn't enjoy or people sometimes wouldn't enjoy. And the other piece here is Venus has a tendency to really know what they don't want, when they come into Scorpio. So this is also a good time to really get a better idea around what in your life you just don't want anymore, because Venus is going to say, nope, I definitely know I don't want that. And so that's kind of the shift in that energy, where it was with Libra, and it was being held back in Libra because of the Capricorn Council and the oppositions to the stuff in Aries. So the shift might not be as big for you depending on where this stuff falls in your chart. But at the end of the day, Venus isn't comfortable in Scorpio. And so there's the opportunity for us to really key in on what we find value in and why we find value in it. Is it because other people find value in it, or is it because it truly has value for us? And so getting into that kind of energy as Venus enters Scorpio on Saturday the 24th, you'll feel that shift. With the sun following very shortly into Sagittarius, we're going to get into this big on another cosmic update. So the main thing here is that we've been waiting to explore, to go, to get more awareness, and we're going to start feeling that as Sun moves into Sagittarius. So there are some things, though, to be cautious about. So Mars is now out of retrograde, stationed direct, and we're going to start feeling that energy, allowing us to move forward in things. Sun moving into Sagittarius is another fire sign. And so there's still the ability for us to burn out, to go too fast, to want to do too much. Sagittarius is ruled by Jupiter, which is the expander. So there is definitely that opportunity. And Mars retrograde for a lot of us was teaching us to slow down. What is worth our energy? What is not worth our energy? You know, what makes us, exhausted? How do we get burnout? When do we listen to ourselves to do self-care? So a lot of us are feeling that out. And when Sun moves into Sagittarius, there's going to be the urge and the push and the want to go and to adventure and to do. And the test here, because we're not out of Mars retrograde shadow yet, so we're still being tested. And the test here is, can we put our energy into the things that, I'm going to say we want, but that's not what I want, but can we put our energy into the right things and hold off and have our boundaries and hold our own space? What have we learned over that last Mars retrograde cycle, and how will we kind of embody that as we change into this season that has a lot of fire? And as we get into the 26th and the end, there's even more fire around the United States Thanksgiving, and another test with Mars retrograde as it prepares to leave its shadow phase. But before that, the other big thing about Sagittarius season is going to be the shift of the Capricorn Council into Aquarius mid-month, and also the ability for us to see a long-term goals, a further vision, into the bigger scheme of things. Sagittarius and Jupiter are higher knowledge. So seeking higher knowledge, wanting to know more, how things fit in, all going to be themes as we move through Sagittarius season and the end of the year. On the 22nd, following this shift of movement, there's kind of like a breathe because the moon moves into Pisces. When the moon is in Pisces, it can be very emotional. It can be very intuitive. It can be very tired. Sunday, the 22nd, could be a really good day for you to not do too much, if that's possible. Really explore your emotions, allow them to be as they are. And this could be a helpful shift for us as we finish out November, because with moon in Pisces, it really is, again, depending on where it hits, but for the majority of people, moon in Pisces is going to be very internal, very emotional, very intuitive, very calm. So taking the time, taking the space to really sit with yourself, sit with your energies, understand the emotions that come forward. This could be a nice time because it leads into the following week, which is pretty heavy with like emotional fire energy, especially in the United States as we move into the holidays. And this holiday season is going to be drastically different. And we're going to talk about that as we get into the later part of the week. But this moon in Pisces on Sunday, and then even, Monday is 22nd and 23rd, is going to provide you a little bit of space to allow for the emotions to come leading into the following week with a lot of fire, and then the full moon at the end to finish the month. So yes, the full moon in Pisces will stay there for the 23rd on Monday the 23rd, which is also going to form a trine with Neptune and Mercury, both in water signs. So this is a very watery, emotional potential for a very watery, emotional day on the 23rd, which is Monday. So at 18 degrees Pisces and Scorpio, we have Neptune, which is illusions and dreams and intuition, and confusion even. And then we have Mercury, which is our thoughts and our communicator, the way we perceive things, the way we send messages and receive messages. So all in the water, which water is our emotions, our intuition, our feelings. And so this is a potential to go down a rabbit hole, to really, and that could be either way, right? We could go down an emotional rabbit hole, which doesn't do necessarily great things for us. And then we could also go down a rabbit hole of like intuition and self-care and what that looks like for you, and journaling all day, or, there's multiple different options here. But one of the things that will come up in this energy is hopes and dreams versus reality. And, my invitation would be to see what you can find, what possibilities you can find in the fantasies, right? Does the fantasy, does the illusion, does the dream have to be way out there? Or are people just telling you that your dreams are way out there? Or do you just feel that your dreams are way out there? But really there's pieces of it that are actually able to be seen in reality. So what is fantasy? What is reality? And how can we find the mesh in the two, as we sit here on this space? And so that's my invitation for the 22nd and 23rd. If you have the ability to do so, check in with that water energy that you hold inside yourself, because when we move into Tuesday, the 24th, the 25th, and the 26th, the moon is in hot and heavy Aries, which is also holding Chiron, our wounded healer, and Mars, which is still in its shadow. And it's going to square the Capricorn Council, which has been hitting all year as well. So, and no, nothing is in Libra. Okay, so yes, so there's going to be a lot of emotions and potential for fire, anger, aggression, impulsiveness. That's the shadow side, right? But the other potential is great healing, great passion, great motivation. The opportunity for healing within these days is huge, because we have all of this Aries energy. Chiron is there. It's our wounded healer, where we hold, some of our deepest wounds. And it also has Mars, which has been, just ridiculous all year, especially at the end of this year. And the moon, which is our feelings department, in that same sign. We're leading into, and I'm only going to be talking about the United States and Thanksgiving, and I know and appreciate that a lot of people don't, recognize Thanksgiving, but a lot of people do, and so this is a collective reading. And so this is going to be an emotional time for a lot of people anyway, because traditions are changing. Things are happening in ways that are hard for us, right? Changes are hard. Not being with family members is often hard and difficult. It could also be the opposite. This could be a great time for you to change traditions, right? Even though you might miss your family and want to be there, there are Zoom options, right? And maybe that takes the pressure off of you financially, right? We're not having to spend financial burdens on, traveling during Thanksgiving and Christmas, right? Maybe that was something for someone. But anyway, so many different ways that this could be affecting us. And as moon moves out of Pisces into Aries, we're going to feel more passionate. We're going to feel more of that fire energy. And on Wednesday, the day before Thanksgiving, it links up with Mars. So again, that fire energy as we move into the 26th. The 26th, and specifically on the 26th, is the day for potential healing, because the moon is going to be in Sagittarius and it's going to form a trine to Chiron, the wounded healer, that is in Aries. So both in fire signs. The sun is fiery already, so it's comfortable in Sagittarius. Sagittarius wants to move forward. Sagittarius doesn't want to get stuck on the past. Sagittarius wants to have a good time, and is also able to see things in a higher perspective sometimes. And with it being trine is it's a good aspect. And so when it's trining Chiron, our wounded healer, it's a great opportunity for us to heal, for us to forgive, for us to really, and the lead up, right, was kind of bringing up things that are ready to be healed, right? We've been doing that for many, many months. And then this week is really going to do that again for us. And the opportunity to forgive, and whether that's yourself, whether that's somebody else, or the opportunity to move forward in the potential to forgive ourselves or to forgive others, and what that kind of looks like. During this same time, at the end of Thursday into the 27th, Friday, there's an opposition between Venus in Scorpio and Uranus in Taurus that is going to allow us to feel in either of the extremes excitement or disgust around change, around traditions, around fitting in boxes. And again, this is right around Thanksgiving, but there's also going to be things happening internal and with the collective that don't have to do with Thanksgiving and those types of things. So don't get caught on that, but that is going to be a big one for the collective. But this is, again, excitement or disgust around changes, around your personal uniqueness and how you show up in the world in your uniqueness. And that is going to carry on through, well, when the Capricorn Council really starts moving into Aquarius. That's the feelings that we're going to get. Aquarius loves to be unique. Aquarius loves to think out of the box. Aquarius loves to, change things up and really shake up some stuff. And so this Venus opposition to Uranus is really a time for us to break away from tradition, break away from the things that we've normally been doing in our relationships, because Venus does hold relationships as well. This is a time for us to shake it up. There may be frustration around boredom. People haven't been able to get out, right? So a lot of folks will be feeling a little bit stir crazy at home. And breaking, just purely wanting to break away from the mundane, from the tradition, from the boxes. The other end of this, though, is the other side of the spectrum, where these things are really terrible and really uncomfortable. And so, whichever side of that you're on depends on your natal chart and your own lived experience and stuff. But that's really the energy with Venus and Uranus opposition. My invitation would be to shake things up that day. For a lot of people, this holiday is not going to be the way that it has been previously. So instead of kind of putting our heels in, it's the energy is really supporting us in changing those things and being able to, you know, appreciate the changes and the newness and what positive things come out of that as well. So that's the invitation. With Venus being in Scorpio during this opposition, it's also a good time for us to release the things that maybe there were traditions or boxes that we thought we were comfortable in, but they're holding us back actually, or we don't actually like those traditions. So back to what we talked about with Venus and Scorpio, not being able to release things that are dead because we think they have value, and or knowing exactly what we don't like. So that energy is here with that opposition to Uranus on 26th, 27th, 28th, and as we move through. On the 28th, there is the Neptune. So Neptune is an outer planet, and so for a lot of people, you won't feel a like huge shift in energy when outer planets are retrograde or station direct, but some people will, and you're going to see the residual effect collectively. And so when Neptune turns stations direct, we're going to start to feel a little bit more clear on what's been happening, what's been coming up, what's been coming forward for us, and even where we're going to go. And at the same time that Neptune is stationing direct, we have Mercury forming a sextile, which again is a good aspect, to the Capricorn Council. First, it hits Pluto, then it's going to hit Jupiter, then it's going to hit Saturn. And the difference in this energy with the Capricorn Council is it's a good energy. We have a sextile. Everything is out of retrogrades. And so this is encouraging us to think about all of the things that we have learned over the last couple months, years, the new thoughts, the new ideas that we have had, and really embodying them, really putting them into a structure and a plan, and really being able to see how things are going to start moving forward. Again, this happens on the 28th, but it's gradual, right? So, but this is what is coming with that station direct from Neptune on the 28th. And then on the 29th, the moon finally enters into Gemini and prepares to ramp up for this, full moon eclipse that happens on the 30th. And the eclipse and the full moon is at 8 degrees Gemini. An eclipse is, I'm not going to get into it really, but so the nodes are also here. The nodes are karmic for a lot of people. And so that is what an eclipse is when the moon nodes conjunct with the moon and the sun currently in the transits. So it's okay if that's too much. Okay, I got it. Just leave it. But so anyway, so we're having an eclipse. An eclipse is a big deal. Eclipses, we're going to talk about the full moon on another cosmic update. But when there's an eclipse, there's really something being asked to be released from our past, our past lives, our generational past. So something in our past, something that has been holding us back during the eclipse season is normally coming up to be released. And sometimes this is something that's hidden. So in a full moon, we illuminate, right? And so we may start to see what some of that is coming up for us. But the full moons illuminate. Gemini is our thoughts and our communication. And so we're really going to start being able to see what's being said to me and what's being fed to me. So like, what is a lie? What is the truth? What is true for me? What has been fed to me my whole life that isn't my truth anymore? Gemini is very mental and very chatty. So this energy may also be very social. You may feel manic. You may, exhausted, not being able to sleep. That's all pretty common with a full moon, but specifically in Gemini, it's going to be mania. It's going to be anxiety. It could be overthinking. It could be just super chatty, but a very airy energy comes with Gemini, and a deep understanding of changes in thought, changes in communication, and again, what is being said and what is being fed. What is true for me versus what truth has been projected onto me. And that change, that shift in energy takes us into December, which is, you know, the end of the year, and it ends with a lot of shifting of energy, and more to come on cosmic updates in the future. But yeah, so let me know. That is the month of November. Again, there's going to be different updates on Sagittarius season and on the full moon at the end of the month. I'll probably do a pick-a-pile reading for the end of the month moon. So let me know if I can help you with a reading or a session. If you want to learn about astrology, if you want to have a tarot reading or a natal transit reading, I can tell you how this energy may affect you specifically based on your natal chart. Just reach out to me on any of my platforms. Again, you can find me at mmhealingservices across the platforms, Mairi Moibeal Healing Services, or the Autistic Astrologer on Facebook and on YouTube. I would love to connect with you, and I hope that you have a great rest of your November.